Hi, this is Raj. I had launched a poll on LinkedIn almost a week back or so. The question was, who, in your opinion, is most effective in the role of CEO? The four options were Tim Cook, Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, and Jeff Bezos. There were 43 responses that I received, and before I share the final results, I also wanted to do some kind of analysis to find out as to who, in my opinion, is the most successful or effective CEO ever since they have taken over their role. Okay, so let's start with Apple. Apple was founded in 1976. However, Tim Cook took over the position of CEO from Steve Jobs in 2011. The figures that you see on the left in the tabular format are market capitalization, revenue, and net profit from the year 2007 until 2020. On the right side, you see the graphical representation of the same data. So let's understand what this data tells us. The biggest jump happened in market capitalization, revenue, and net profit in 2008. After iPhone launch in 2007, market cap grew by 115%, revenue by 52.44%, and net profit by 74.86%. What I would like to mention over here is that market cap figures that you see are as on December of last day of December of that year. Revenue is based on the fiscal year that Apple follows, which is October to September, and all figures are in USD billion. Next big jump in 2011, revenue grew up by 66% and net profit by 85%. That may have come on account of iPad launch that happened the previous year. Siri and iCloud was introduced in 2011. Steve Jobs resigned. Tim Cook took over in August and Jobs died in October of the same year. 2012 was the last year when Apple saw growth in revenue and profit above 40%. However, after 2012, the growth is consistent and hovers around 20%. But 2012 was the last year when Apple saw growth in both revenue and profit above 40%. Apple Watch was unveiled in April 2015. Despite that, revenue and net profit declined in 2016. 2019, Apple crossed market capitalization of USD 1 trillion. Despite negative growth in revenue, the negative growth was minus 2.01%, and for net profit it was minus 7.17%. It achieved maximum revenue of 265 billion and net profit of 59.53 billion in 2018. Apple's market cap was the highest from 2010 to 2019 in comparison to all other players in the industry. However, it was, I think, sometime in 2019 or early 2020 that Microsoft beat Apple, but Apple regained its position back in July of 2020. Now let's just look at the time period ever since Tim Cook became the CEO. Apple Watch was unveiled in September 2014, and that was the first new product line that was released after Tim Cook took over as the CEO. In 2016, Apple came up with AirPods to offer a new type of wireless headphone. 2017, iPhone 10 was launched, and it was a little different from the previous versions whereby the home button and expanding the selfie cam was removed, which now has sensors for identifying users' face ID. In March 2019, Apple switches to services and moved into streaming services, particularly for original shows funded by Apple, Apple News Plus, a new service with access to about 300 publications, and Apple Arcade, a video game service. And in 2019 too, Apple came up with a credit card. So there's a shift from product to services. The revenue and profitability is pretty consistent, as I had mentioned earlier. So on the whole, the financials for Apple looks to be quite good. Let's move to Microsoft. Microsoft was founded in 1975. Satya Nadella has been CEO since 2014. He replaced Steve Ballmer. With respect to the three key figures that we see on the left in the tabular format, which is market capitalization, revenue, and net income, just wanted to let you know that Microsoft follows a different fiscal year than Apple. Microsoft fiscal year starts in July and ends in June. Microsoft revenue and gross profit declined by minus 3.29% and minus 17.56% respectively in 2009. It launches Windows Phone 7 in November of 2010, not adding much fortune. Also launched Azure in 2010 but did not capitalize until much later. 2012 saw the big drop in net profit to the tune of 26.70%. Acquired Skype in 2011 for 8.5 billion. Also launched Surface and Windows 8 Phone same period, and also Office 365. It launched Outlook.com in February of 2013, Xbox One in May, bought Nokia in September 2013. Satya Nadella took over as CEO in February of 2014, completes acquisition of LinkedIn in December of 2016. The biggest drop that Microsoft witnessed was in net income was in 2015. The drop was by 44.77%. It did all-time high revenue and net profit in 2019, 125.84 billion in revenue and 39.24 billion in gross profit. It breached 1 trillion mark in market capitalization in December 2019 and beat Apple for the first time in MCAP sometime in 2020. Okay, now let us look at the period specifically when Satya Nadella took over as the CEO. In 2014 itself, it was a very heavy year for Microsoft. It launched Office for iPad. The company completed acquisition of Nokia devices and services business. It launched Surface Pro 3. Minecraft joins Microsoft announcement. Microsoft announced Office apps for Android tablets. 2015, Microsoft launched Office 2016. Much to the annoyance of those who just familiarized themselves with Office 2010. In 2016, the company launched SQL Server 2016, Microsoft Dynamics 365. 2017, Visual Studio 2017 was released. Microsoft Teams rolled out of Office 365 customers worldwide. Surface Laptop and new Surface Pro became available in 25 markets worldwide. Marrier, the highest capacity subsea cable to cross the Atlantic Ocean, is completed in collaboration with Facebook and Telxius, I guess, in 2017. 2018, the company announced it had made the single largest corporate purchase of solar energy in the US. Surface Go became available. GitHub is bought by Microsoft. In 2019, HoloLens 2 is introduced by Microsoft. Starbucks partner with Microsoft to create a machine learning app to which can give out customers tailored suggestions for food and drink. Microsoft announces the release of 5 Surface products for late 2019 plus 2 new dual screen devices, Surface Neo and Surface Duo, slated for late 2020. They also announced that they wanted to bring internet access to 40 million people by 2020. So on the whole, it's been a very fruitful journey for Satya Nadella at Microsoft as its CEO since 2014. A lot of expectations are there from him for Microsoft, and that is where it is at this point in time. Let's check Amazon now. It launched web hosting business in 2003. Amazon Prime debuted in 2005. Kindle was unveiled in 2005. Audible was acquired in 2008. It acquired shoe shopping site Zappos. It launched its first smartphone, Fire Phone, in 2014. Alexa 2 was born in 2014. It launched Echo in 2015. It reached 1 trillion market capitalization in 2018. Steady growth in revenue, not a single year of negative growth. Net income crossed 1 billion for the first time in 2017. So on market cap and revenue front, it has been doing good, steady improvements with a little bit of ups and downs. Net income has been not as comparable to other players like Microsoft and Apple. It crossed 1 billion of net profits only in 2017, did better in 2018 with 3.03 billion, and the highest net profit that it made was in 2019 to the tune of 10.07 billion. Now let's check Google's milestones. Google was founded in 1998. Sundar Pichai has been its CEO since 2015. Google has had a positive growth in revenue year after year. Yahoo offered a price of 3 billion in 2002 that was rejected by the co-founders Larry and Page. Disrupted search engine space. It launched Google Maps in 2005. Gmail was officially launched in 2008 after 5 years of beta testing. Disrupted email space. In 2006, Google bought YouTube for 1.65 billion. Launched Google Docs in March 2006. Bought Android in 2008 and Google Chrome web browser. Launched smartphone Nexus 1 in January of 2010. Google Play was launched in 2012. Sundar Pichai took over as CEO in August 2015. Alphabet was formed in October 2015. Launched Google Assistants in 2015. Biggest drop in net profit in 2017, that was to the tune of minus 34.98%. It crossed market capitalization of 1 trillion sometime in 2019 2020. So on the whole, Google has had a fantastic run, and Sundar Pichai has been very successfully been able to sustain that consistently. I then looked at individual parameters, like this one is market capitalization trends for the last 13 years for all the 4 organizations. They've been growing with some ups and downs, but all 4 of them breached 1 trillion mark at some point in time. In fact, Amazon, Microsoft and Apple have kind of converged in 2020. If we look at the revenue trends, Apple has been above the other organizations almost all the years in past 10 odd years. Amazon beat Apple in 2019. Apple did a revenue of $260.17 billion, while Amazon closed the year at $280.52 billion. So it's been a good leap with respect to revenue by Amazon in the last 4 to 5 years. From the net profit standpoint, Apple has been doing pretty well, at least ever since 2011. It has been doing a lot more than the other players. Microsoft and Google have been also consistent. There have been some ups and downs, but there has been an upward trend. Um, Amazon, if you see, has had um, years of losses, and it's only started to make profits more than 1 billion, like I mentioned earlier, from 2017. Last 3 years have been good. In fact, 2019 has been one of the best years for Amazon with respect to net profit, but still much lesser than Apple, Microsoft, and Google. Now, this slide is interesting. All this while we were looking at the absolute numbers of net profit that these four organizations made in the last few years. But what we see over here is the profitability. And if you would notice, I'd mentioned that Apple has been pretty much consistent around 20% for the last 10 odd years. Microsoft has seen some ups and downs, but in 2019 it showed profitability of 31.18%, which was maximum of all the four players. Google has also been extremely consistent in profitability, has been hovering around 21-22% over the last many years. What is, I mean, it came as a surprise to me was that Amazon has had, some bad years of, losses, and profitability also is very low if we were to compare it with the other three, Apple, Microsoft, and Alphabet, or Google. While they have been getting profits of around 20-30%, Amazon just barely made a profit of 3.59% in 2019. So that's it from the profitability standpoint. I try to look at some of the other data points in terms of market share with some of its their products and services. The first diagram that you see is of the operating system. Google is at 38% with Android. Microsoft is at 37% with Windows. Apple is with 14% with iOS, and the others at 11%. The second diagram that you see on the left bottom is the web browser space. Google beats everybody else hands down with 70% of market share with Chrome. Safari is at 18%, Firefox with 5%, and others at 7%. The diagram that you see on the right is the cloud market share. Here the Amazon takes the cake with 33% of market share with Amazon Web Services. Microsoft with Azure is at 15%. Google Cloud is at 5%. Alibaba Cloud is at 4%, and all others are at 42%. So this has been the story with respect to the market share with some of their products and services. Based on these data points, I had my own ranking of the organizations and the leaders by virtue of them leading these organizations. So I would possibly rank Google at number one, Microsoft at number two, Amazon at number three, and Apple at number four, looking at the impact it has on global consumers. In the next slide, I will share with you the results of the poll and see as to how much of that matches with my assessment. Now, this is what you see as the final results of the poll that I had conducted a few days back. Um, there were 43 voters. 45% of them rated Sundar Pichai as the most effective in the role of CEO, followed by Jeff Bezos with 31% of the votes, Satya Nadella with 21% of the votes, and for some reason Tim Cook came in as fourth. There was only one vote in his favor of the total 43 votes. So here it is. I don't think so that it's too much different from my assessment. I had rated Sundar Pichai as number one, Satya Nadella as number two, Jeff Bezos is number three, and Tim Cook as number four. All of them have been great CEOs, though. And to manage large organizations like these four is not easy. But yeah, when there are four people and you have to rank them, by virtue of ranking, probably somebody came on the top and somebody came at the bottom. But the fact is that they've all of them have been doing a great job. What I would be interested to know is from people who have seen these organizations or these people working from close quarters, in what in their assessment should be looked at to see whether they have been great players, or to if you were to rate them, how would you rate them as?